For me, I'm going to say for now, this is an overreaction. Buried him in the turf with his chin strap around his nostrils. He calls a timeout. Good wherewithal by Eli. Great wherewithal.
What's this, the music? I don't think he stepped out either. That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen.
Welcome back to the Week 4 edition of the Giant Overreaction. I am your host, Awthentik. Another Victory Monday for the gang. Y'all know what it is, man. Shout out to the whole Giants Nation, man. We in the building one time. Sitting at a hot 3-1 right now, man. People were saying the New York Giants were the worst 2-0 team just a couple of weeks ago. Looks like that loss to Dallas kind of humbled us. And in this game against the Chicago Bears, man, the Giants really showed up and showed out with that running game, especially, man. This is Brian Daboll. He's 3-1 now. He's the first head coach since Tom Coughlin in 2004 to be 3-1 at this point in his career, man. First time these two teams met with a winning record since 2006 as well. I thought that was a little bit surprising, man. The Bears came out a bit flat on offense. Looked like the only thing they had going was Justin Fields and his legs. Outside of that, man, this game was a real ugly one. A tough game to watch, man. And to come away with a victory, very fortunate. We know we lost our starting quarterback and we lost our backup quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. So, I mean, that Tyrod Taylor experiment is kind of looking like it's over. He seems to be, anytime he gets a chance to play, he's getting hurt. So, Daniel Jones, 4 straight years, 4 straight injuries. This one kind of happened in the pocket a little bit. He wasn't running down the field. But it's very unfortunate, man. We, as Giants fans, we know what this can look like when you lose our starting quarterback and you don't have the right guys in place to be the backups. And in this case, now you got Tyrod Taylor, who's in the concussion protocol. And with everything that happened with Tua the past couple of weeks, you know they're not going to play no games as far as this goes with concussions. I'm fortunate to be at 3-1. I'm all good with that. I think the defense played a pretty good game on Sunday, man. Got to Justin Fields 6 times on the day. We entered that game with just 3 sacks. So, I mean, that's an incredible feat to double that up in this game. It's the best record for the Giants since 2011. For me, I'm happy. I think that with a team that was in a rebuild like this, I don't think we expected this team to be 3-1. And now the topic of conversation seems to be playoffs, where this team can go moving forward. Because at 3-1, you got a great shot to make the playoffs. And the streak that I've been talking about now for 3 straight weeks, 7 straight games dating back to last season that the Giants did not score a first-half touchdown. We had 2 first-half touchdowns in this one on the legs of Daniel Jones, who definitely was getting it done with the bootleg all day long. It seemed to be wide open against this over-aggressive Bears defense. No turnovers on offense, so a pretty clean game for me, man. I want to jump into the chat, man, say a couple of shout-outs to the people that's pulling up early, bright and early in the building, man. We was on time today, man. I know somebody said last week that us Haitians ain't on time. I tried to be right on time at 1 o'clock on the button. This isn't going to be that long of a Giant Overreaction. I got some stuff to do a little bit later today. Went out last night, celebrated, man. Hung out with the homies, had a couple of brews, man. I ain't getting to the crib till pretty late. Tried to stay up and rewatch the game. That didn't work out too well, man. I was feeling pretty tired. So I got some good rest last night, man. Definitely was a good time to go party with the homies and whatnot. We were at the Dave & Buster's watching that game. And then we went out to a couple bars after and whatnot, man. Had a couple drinks, celebrated the W, man. My homie Patrick, shout out to him, man. He's a Giants fan as well. It was real good to get this victory, man. Felt real good. But let's take this back one time. Give a couple shout-outs to some of the homies in the building one time, man, and then we'll get going with this Giant Overreaction as fast as we possibly can. Shout out to the homie, first in the building one time, man. He beat the homie Jameson one time. Shout out St. Zappa one time in the building. My day one Jameson in the building one time, man. Y'all know what it is. Shout out to Carl Wilkinson in the building one time, man. Appreciate you pulling up, my guy. We got a lot to talk about today, man. Some hot topics I saw on national media I want to bring up. It's going to be a real interesting show. Some expected topics that y'all should already know we going to talk about today. Over here at Awthentik and the Beer, we definitely like to talk about the quarterback. Y'all know what it is. Shout out to the homie Stan one time, too, man. Hey, I appreciate you, Stan, retweeting the link. Not even retweeting it, actually going and finding the link and posting it before I even had a chance to retweet it. I was up late actually listening to y'all spaces yesterday with Ash Money. Man, yo, That was a hilarious space. When y'all got to talking about the uniforms, man, and like just clowning about the quarterback situation and stuff, man, I was dying. I was literally one eye open listening to that Spaces, man. So shout out to y'all, man, for like, just bringing more awareness and bringing more spaces, actually, not to put a pun on it, but more spaces for people to actually chop it up and talk about the Giants on a late night vibe like that. That was super dope. And shout out to Jay Gene one time in the building. You know what it is, man. Happy Victory Monday to you. He says to half of us. I like that. That's what's good. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets in the building. What's up, fam? 3-1 is feeling real good, man. That's especially with this roster. I don't feel too comfortable about this roster, and to be 3-1, I feel great about that, man. It's like this is what Dave Gettleman was trying to do when he first came in. He was trying to rebuild and he was trying to win. Brian Dable and Joe Shane seem to be doing a better job of that so far. But shout out to you, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Appreciate you pulling up. The Flipping Sports guys in the building as well. What's going on, fam? Hope all is well over there. Love to be 3-1 at this point in the season. Great feeling with the new regime. Definitely. That's facts, man. Shout out to you for pulling up in the building. James Earl Moans is in the building. We still ain't figured out how to pronounce this one the proper way, if it's Elavon or we're going to go with my man 84 one time in the building. What's going on, fam? I hope all is well over there. Y'all got the big dub too, man. So salute to y'all. See Don Smith in the building. It's a new name one time. Appreciate you pulling up. Welcome to the fam. I see that YouTube did a little bit of rearranging to the main page over here and whatnot, and the subscribe button is in the new position, and the like button is revamped. Everything looking all new and whatnot. So y'all know what it is, man. If you like the content, once we get involved and we get into this giant overreaction today, hit that subscribe button, man. It goes a long way for the channel. But shout out to you, Saddam, for pulling up in the building, man. We appreciate you. Nick P is in the building too. What's up, fam? How you doing? Hope all is well. MYB in the building. Who else in the building, man? We got fam in the building, man. Big Pat is in the building. What's going on, fam? I know you was doing a lot of streaming last night, I bet, with the Big W, man. Shout out to Big Pat Sports Talk, man. Got a dope channel over there, man. I got to get you back on one of these giant overreactions. Had Big Pat on last year, man. He's one of my favorite guests, actually. That was right when Daniel Jones got hurt last year. So just ironic that Big Pat pulls up on a day where we get Daniel Jones hurt again, man. And this one is a high ankle sprain with Daniel Jones, man. And we know high ankle sprains are very difficult to come back from. I think Daniel Jones has already dealt with 2 high ankle sprains in his career already. I know he came back from one of them after 2 weeks. Crossing my fingers that he can get back out there on the field, man, because it's not that Daniel Jones is playing like this outstanding football right now, but he's playing just good enough football for the Giants to win games. And we know what it can look like when you get a Jake Fromm or Mike Glennon back there. And that could really, with the season the way it is right now, 3-1, it's almost like they gave us the alley-oop to go out there and dunk the ball, and now our quarterback's hurt. It's going to be real difficult to do that without Daniel Jones. But let's start this one off proper. I'm going to give you a quick little recap of the game real quick, man, and then we'll get off into these giant overreactions. For those of y'all that don't know how we do over here at Giant Overreaction, what we do is we put statements on the screen or audio clips sometimes from the national media or from Twitter, and we react to those, and we put an O in the chat if we think it's an overreaction, or we put a U in the chat if we agree with the statement on the screen, which means we're taking the under. If you need a little bit more time on what you see on the screen as far as the statement goes, maybe another week, maybe another 5 weeks, maybe you get to the bye week, maybe you need till next year, and you need that push. Let me see that hand emoji, or you can put a P. That means you're taking the push. But before we get into that, let's kind of recap this game just a little bit here, man. The Giants were leading this game 14-9 at the half, and I felt extremely comfortable by the half. I was like, this is one of those games where if the Giants come out and we play a better second half, as we've done in pretty much every game this season, that we'll handle business. It was the first half that we scored a touchdown, so I'm looking at it like we have a great floor from the first half. We should be able to jump out in the second half and get this lead to a more comfortable lead for fans. I always talk to the Beard about this, like when you get a game where it's like you're so in control that people are on the sidelines and you high-fiving and all you see is smiles. We haven't seen those kind of games from the New York Giants this year, and I thought that this game was going to get to that point. But I felt like the Giants really let the Bears hang around in this game, man, and it seemed that we just could not get a passing attack really going. And I know the numbers from Daniel Jones, they don't look that great when you just look at the box score and you see what Daniel Jones did in this game. You know, it really looks pedestrian. I got to keep it for real. Like, these stats look pathetic. These look like some stats from me from JV when I played high school football and whatnot. He was 8 for 13 with 71 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, but he did do a lot with his legs, 6 carries for 68 yards, and he had the 2 big touchdowns early on in the half. Now, this is the number that to me is going to say a lot about this game from Daniel Jones. Now, 13 throws, it's not really much you could do with that. I mean, what do you expect from the kid when he only attempted 13 passes? Let's say he went 13 for 13 and had 100 yards. I mean, it wouldn't be impressive either. But at the end of the day, you got to look at the QBR. 92.3 out of 100 on the QBR. That's fantastic. And what that says to me is that he played an efficient game. He did what he had to do. The Giants clearly came into this game and they were relying on a running game. So I know that a lot of these stats and records that came out of this game, they don't look good. But at the end of the day, Daniel Jones got it done. 9 completions is the lowest in a win for the New York Giants since 2011. Now, that's not good, but the part that's good about it is it's a win. So for me, I'm going to take the win all day. Our leading receiver on the day was Daniel Bellinger. He had 3 receptions for 23 yards. So, I mean, the passing game just wasn't it. You had 1 reception from Sills, James, Slayton, and Tanner Hudson, and you had 0 receptions from Kenny Golladay. Kenny Golladay, he's got to find a way to get it together. I mean, I'm not too sure how many targets he had in this game. I should check that out, actually, because I do think that is an important number to have here, because we're trying to find a way to get Kenny Golladay involved in this game plan. He had 1 target. Our leading targets came from Richie James and from Daniel Bellinger. They both had 3. Daniel Bellinger caught all 3, and Richie James only had 1 reception for 9. And he had that costly fumble in the special teams game on that punt return, which definitely gave Chicago some life. They gave us that muffed punt late in the game with 2 minutes left, which that, to me, really made me feel more comfortable because, you know, I felt like the Giants dominated this ugly game. Although it was an ugly game, the Giants dominated, right? And I just wanted that little bit of a cushion late in the game, you know, to feel good about the victory. And that muff punt from Chicago definitely gave us that. You know, the Giants, they broke that streak, man, and that was most important for me. You know, not scoring a first-half touchdown in 7 straight games, that ain't it. That's not the vibes. They finally get off that. That's awesome for me. And I like that the offense played a clean game. Now, we got to talk about the man of the hour. I mean, this was the guy in this game, and this has been the guy throughout this whole entire season. This has been our backbone for the New York Giants. So let's get into it. Now, I mean, listen, man, Saquon Barkley, and I got to pull up the chat too because I do want to see what y'all talking about. This is going to be a short show, and I definitely want to make it an engaging one. Saquon Barkley did everything in this game. And when I say he did everything, I literally mean that. He did everything in this game. This man took snaps at quarterback when Tyrod Taylor went down. And Daniel Jones was flexed out as a wide receiver, hobbling on the field. So I got to give Daniel Jones his kudos. He's a gutsy kid. He ain't playing great football. I see some of y'all on Twitter today. I woke up today, and some of the stuff I was seeing, it's just it's mind-boggling for me, and it's a bit offensive to the quarterback position. When you got guys going out here throwing 350 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you got a guy who's got 71 yards, and you wake up and the guy you want to talk about is Daniel Jones, I think that's pretty interesting. The backbone of this team is the guy you're looking at right there, Saquon Barkley, and we really couldn't do nothing without him. 146 rushing yards on the day on 31 carries, 4.7 yards per carry, 2 receptions, and 16 yards. And the reason why, shout out to the graphics department one time, I wasn't going to have him put the receptions on this, but the reason why you got to put the receptions on this is because one of Saquon Barkley's receptions really showed what he is capable of. Early on in this game in the second quarter on a pivotal 3rd and 9, this dude extends the drive to get Daniel Jones that first touchdown, I believe it was, on a screen pass that was completely broken. And he just makes a spin, hops out of it, reverses field. He picks up like 25 yards or something like that, maybe like 15 yards on the play, whatever it was. Just a fantastic play from Saquon Barkley. It's starting to remind you of what we saw in 2018. And there are some statistics here from Saquon Barkley that they just completely stand out. And I think that the reason why you saw the 2 touchdowns from Daniel Jones look so easy is because of what Saquon Barkley was doing within the running game. Those boots, they were just wide open. Those were walk-in touchdowns. The second one was even easier than the first one. Now, this game, the game plan is very important, okay? And the game plan that the Giants came in with this matchup against the Chicago Bears, it eerily reminded me of Jason Garrett's game plan against the Las Vegas Raiders last season. And Daniel Jones in that game was 15 of 20 for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. And people were like, wow, these are just pedestrian statistics. Booker was the leading rusher in that game with 21 carries for 99 yards. It's clear the game plan was run the damn ball. RTDB, shout out to my homie The Beard one time. He's always talking about run the damn ball. And that's exactly what they did. I mean, 31 carries, that's a high for Saquon Barkley, a career high. He had a long on the day of 29 yards. That 3rd-and-9 conversion I talked about was just incredible. It's the most rushing yards through 4 games in Giants history, okay? That dates back all the way to 1950. Tiki Barber had the record before that with 455 yards through 4 games, and before that, it was Rodney Hampton with 430 yards through 4 games. Shout out to Rodney Hampton. Rodney Hampton is one of the reasons why I'm a Giants fan till this day. And shout out to my homie Patrick. He's another reason why I'm a Giants fan. But, like, the first player and the first jersey I had, the player I was invested in back in the day, was Rodney Hampton. And Saquon Barkley is reminding me a lot of Rodney Hampton 2.0. This is a big running back. This guy's 235 pounds, running around the field looking like a Reggie Bush, man. He is definitely killing it. His skill set is a one-of-a-kind type of skill set. I saw Entertainer and them talking about this last week about if Saquon Barkley was a game breaker. And, you know, a lot of people were giving him a lot of pushback on the comment, you know, like saying you can't draft a guy at number 2 at running back because running backs don't impact the game, you know, to a significant, standpoint like how a quarterback does. Dare I say Saquon Barkley is impacting these games like a quarterback. When all said and done, people aren't going to be talking about Daniel Jones at the end of the day. They're going to be talking about Saquon Barkley. And I thought when I watched the Get Up this morning, they made a great point on the Get Up. They said when you look at teams like the Tennessee Titans, you're not talking about Ryan Tannehill. You're talking about Derrick Henry. This is the kind of team that the New York Giants are starting to become, a team that is relying upon a run. And for old school New York Giants fans who know about this ground and pound type of game that we saw in the 90s, I'm sure you smiling ear to ear on a Monday morning like this after a victory that was literally just on the strength of the ground game. I know I am, and that's what they like to call New York Giants football. And I'm happy to see that out of us, that we're winning games gritty and ugly. Now, there's another side of me that I want to see Daniel Jones light it up. 2 weeks in a row now, I've been talking about this on Twitter, like, yo, I want to see this kid just go out here and really win the game and just completely light it up. It's hard for a coaching staff to build trust within your quarterback, especially when you got a running back doing this kind of stuff. They're seeing this in practice day in and day out. They know where Saquon Barkley is. They know the kind of caliber player he is. They know that he's back from the injury, and you can rely on a guy like this to win games during a rebuild. Man, if you would have asked me where the Giants would have been at week 4, at ending week 4 at the beginning of the season, I would have probably said at 1-3. You know, I really thought that, especially a game between the Bears, you know, or Carolina, I thought one of those games was going to be an L for me. And I looked at the Cowboys game as an L, and the Titans, I was like, it's going to be tough to beat the Titans. The one hope that I had was that the Titans usually start off on not on the right foot, and they start off pretty slow. Last year, you look at the Arizona Cardinals, they beat the brakes off the Titans week 1, and the Arizona Cardinals are just a decent team, if you ask me. Shout out my homie The Beard one time in the building. Y'all know what it is. And, you know, for me, it's just I'm very quarterback invested, and I'm a skilled player watcher when I'm watching the games. I usually got to go back and watch what's happening within the trenches and things like that. And I want to see my quarterback light it up. Whether I think Daniel Jones is going to be here next year or not is neither here nor there. I just want to see my quarterback light it up and go out there and light it up. Now, our coaching staff is realizing, hey, that's not the way. I can't say that's not the way, but that's not the best way for this team early on to get victories. I love what I'm seeing out of Brian Dable right now because he's finding a way to win these games that Joe Judge was not finding a way to win games. A part of me yesterday said that last year's team looked better at times during the year. You know, I can't say towards the end of the year when you had the whole backup quarterback situation, the back-to-back sneaks and all that, right? But early on in the year when Daniel Jones had 3 straight games of a 90 or better passer rating, we weren't winning games. We lost to Denver. We lost to Washington close. I can't remember who the week 3 loss was. But we lose those games. But the way that we looked, when you saw Daniel Jones against Washington last year, he looked a lot better than he looked in a lot of these games. Now, there's a part of me, too, that's like, I want to give Daniel Jones the benefit of the doubt as well. But when you see a guy rushing like this, play action. And they talked about this about Justin Fields, too, because the Chicago Bears ran the ball fairly well in that game, too. Khalil Herbert, 19 carries. He was averaging 4 yards a carry, 77 yards on the day. And then Justin Fields was doing a ton with his legs. He had 52 yards on the day. And with Montgomery out, they had the kid Ebner coming in. He had 6 carries for 20 yards, averaging 3.3. Not too terrible. I know it was raining and all that. I'm here in D.C. It was ugly. It was, raining the whole time pretty much. I'm sure up top they had similar weather. But the fact that the New York Giants could not find a way to run any type of play action in this game and see any type of success when your running back is ending the day with 146 yards is surprising to me. And for me, I just want to see Daniel Jones go out there and light it up. If Saquon Barkley can continue to put up games like this, it should make it a lot easier for Daniel Jones to earn a contract or earn his way into a franchise tag, especially when the Giants are winning. We're talking 3 wins in the first 4 weeks. We got 2 tough matchups coming up. I know it's the Packers in London, and it might be the Ravens after that. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know it's 2 tough matchups before we got to see teams like the Texans and the Jaguars and a few other teams. But if you got a running back doing this, man, you should be able to go out here and eat off the play action. Now, they say that Daniel Jones is day-to-day, high ankle sprain. I'm expecting the worst, man. I like to be realistic over here at Awthentik and the Beard. I'm expecting the worst. I don't see Daniel Jones playing next week. So what does that mean? With the concussion protocols, the way things are going, my girl actually just told me that the doctor who cleared Tua actually got fired. They're not going to mess around with that concussion protocol. So I wouldn't expect to see Tyrod Taylor come in and play in this game too. Now, Tyrod Taylor looks like he can run it a little snappier. You know, if this offense is going to rely upon a quarterback being able to use his legs like Daniel Jones did in this game for 68 yards, Tyrod Taylor seems to be a little snappier. But I will say this, and I'm one of the guys who in the offseason was saying, hey, I think Tyrod Taylor probably gives us just as good of a chance to win as Daniel Jones. I can't say that today because there's a motto I've been saying forever since I was a kid when I learned it from my coaches way back in Pee Wee football. Availability is your best ability. And right now we've seen Tyrod Taylor go out there for very minimal snaps when you combine the preseason and what we've seen here in the regular season. That dude is fragile. He's more fragile than Daniel Jones is at this point in his career. Tyrod Taylor, and I know he knew the game was on the line, so I got to give him his props too. One, as soon as he came in the game, he said, screw this, I'm throwing the ball down the field. It was in a bit of double coverage. Safety was a little bit late to make it over there, but the safety made an incredible interception. Let's not get it twisted either. Over his shoulder, you know, that's for me the toughest catch to make in football is those over the shoulders, dead when the ball's coming right over the back of your neck. You got to catch it over the shoulder. Those are difficult catches. Safety gets there, makes a play. I like Tyrod Taylor's aggressiveness on the play, though. He wasn't scared to throw it up to Darius Slayton, who did have a step on his man, but it was going to be a tight window. Very similar to the Eli Manning, Mario Manningham Super Bowl kind of play. It wasn't as, close to the sidelines, but it was that kind of throw where that throw had to be perfect for you to get that there. And you saw the difference between a Hall of Fame quarterback throwing it in Eli Manning and a guy who's a journeyman in Tyrod Taylor. The accuracy just wasn't there. It was a little bit too far to the inside. But I give him his props for throwing the ball down the field. And I also give Tyrod Taylor his props for noticing what was happening on that third down play where he got hurt. There's 2 guys at the line at the first down marker waiting on him. And he just said, screw it. Sometimes you got to do that. And unfortunately, he ended up getting hurt. But I think what we learned as Giants fans in this game is that Tyrod Taylor is extremely fragile. And we're going to have to rely on Saquon Barkley for the rest of the year. Now, a couple other notable things I want to go over before I go off into the overreactions, and we're making good time here too because I want to make this show about 45 minutes to about an hour. You know, I want to talk about this offensive line. Now, it seems like every game Daniel Jones is running for his life. In this game, the pressure wasn't that crazy. I want to say it was, let me go ahead and check the sack numbers. I want to say it was 1 or 2 sacks. So he was only sacked 1 time on a day. And that was when he hurt his ankle. That was the only time he got sacked, and his ankle got twisted up and whatnot. So the protection as far as the passing game goes was a little bit better up front. But I do think this. I'm one of the people that's going to say this. Giants fans, we got to stop making excuses about the offensive line. The offensive line in the running game, and they were banged up. Evan Neal got banged up in this game. Glowinski got banged up in this game. Joshua Azidu had to come in and fill in, and he did a decent job. They moved Bredesen to right guard, I believe it was, mid-game. But this offensive line is run blocking fantastic. Second half, they've been doing a great job all year. In this game, the run blocking is one thing I noticed, and I don't be keeping my eye on it, like I said to y'all. But in this game, it was very obvious. You saw Andrew Thomas doing his thing. He's a wall. That Andrew Thomas is a lock. All you got to do is stay healthy. He's going to be a Pro Bowl type, all-pro type tackle. Might be the best in the league. I'm going to say that now. And Evan Neal had a better game, you know, especially in the run blocks. He did a fantastic job. And Feliciano at the center. In this game, you saw a lot of audibles from Daniel Jones pre-snap. You saw a lot more communication pre-snap as well. And it seems like the coaches said, you know, all that pre-snap motion that they were doing when Wan'Dale Robinson was healthy, hey, just throw that out. Let's just get up to the line, have Daniel Jones read it, make the adjustments, and let's rely on this run. And that's what they did. Feliciano had a much better game, and I saw his post-game conference, and what he said was just so funny and amazing to me. Like, they were talking about what was, you know, the difference that allowed you guys to come out here and put up, have Saquon Barkley put up 145 rushing yards on the day, and the New York Giants put up 262 as a team. And he like stumbled and he just said, Saquon. That's literally what it is. We're talking about a generational talent, and I do think that Dave Gettleman was spot on when he said that. Saquon Barkley, when healthy, there's not a running back in the league that I probably would take over him. I would think of guys like Jonathan Taylor maybe. I'm definitely not taking CMC over Saquon Barkley any day of the week. I don't care. Derrick Henry, I would think about it. But very different style running back. Saquon Barkley can do so much, and we haven't even seen, the maximum capabilities of what he can do within the passing game. And when they get that popping, Saquon Barkley, it's going to go right back to 2018, where Saquon Barkley, I believe, had 91 receptions on a year. All that productivity can up when Saquon Barkley is healthy. This team right now is relying on him to be able to win games. If Saquon Barkley does not have an effective game, the New York Giants, see you later, we cannot win the game. He went from last week having his least amount of touches in his career against the Dallas Cowboys to now having his most touches. I love that the coaching staff just saw it and had to make the adjustment. I talked about the first half rushes from Saquon Barkley the first 2 weeks. I can't remember how many first half touches he had in week 3, but to only have 11 carries in the first 2 weeks, that's not the formula for winning. And thank God we found a way to sneak out of that game in Tennessee and get a victory. And then we go to 2-0. Now it's like you're at 3-0. The Giants are moving. That loss might have been humbling. We might have needed that. But at the same time, imagine if the Giants were sitting at 4-0 right now. Media would be going crazy. So for me right now, I'm loving what they're doing with Saquon Barkley. If this is the way that they got to win games, with Daniel Jones being very, a game manager in essence and doing a damn good job of it. Let's give him his props here. I mean, that 92.3 quarterback rating is extremely high to only throw for 71 yards. I'll give him his props on that. When you wake up in the morning and you go 71 yards, it's like, ugh. I mean, that's awful. It feels like crap when you just look at it from a, just gazing over the game. But this is why it reminded me of that Raiders game. I remember the Raiders game very well. People were like, oh, God, Jason Garrett called an awful game plan. Go back and look at every game that they called in 2021. That Raiders game was his best game plan. It's the drive where we came out, first drive of the game, we scored a touchdown to Evan Ingram on a fade route, a beautiful throw from Daniel Jones, lands right in the breadbasket. Evan Ingram makes like a jumping catch, beautiful catch along the sidelines. And then we tried to pass it the next 2 drives and realized that we just didn't have the time and our wide receivers could not get the depth. And Jason Garrett made a first-half adjustment, and they literally just stuck to the run the rest of the game and short passing. We ended up beating a team that was a playoff team last year, the only playoff team I believe we beat last year, in the Las Vegas Raiders. So for me, it's like if that's how we got to win, the wins are more important to me than some padding some Daniel Jones stats. The fan in me wants to see Daniel Jones light it up. I'm trying to see a 3-touchdown game, 4-touchdown game. That's not happening, but that's all good. As long as we're getting the victories, I'm okay with it. It's not a big deal. So that's where I'm at with it with this game. In the trenches, we looked a lot better on both sides of the ball. Dexter Lawrence played a fantastic game, and I think that a lot of people, including myself, who were saying like, oh, man, when we look back at the Odell Beckham trade and you really only got Dexter Lawrence, I want to say it was either I think it was O'Shane Ximines we got in that, and then Jabril Peppers. A lot of people used to be like, oh, Dexter Lawrence is kind of just a guy. He's starting to show you this year that he's not just a guy, that he's kind of the guy, especially with Leonard Williams being out in this game. Dexter Lawrence stepped up, had a career-high 2 sacks in this game. And I know a lot of people are ragging on Tate Crowder at the linebacker position, but I love what they did with Jalen Smith. And that combination of them two, I think it definitely worked out in this game. On third down, we struggled a little bit early on in the game, and I think that has to do with Wink Martindale being a little bit aggressive. Sometimes Wink is a little over-aggressive, and you saw it on the 3rd and 20. I mean, they're screaming screenplay. I'm sitting there saying, Wink, don't do this again, because last week he did the same thing on a 3rd down as well. And 3rd and 20, the Bears pick up a 3rd and 20 on a screenplay. That should never happen in the NFL. It's unfortunate that had to happen. And I think there was another one too, like a 3rd and 9 that they picked up when Wink sent the house a little bit more. And I think he learned from his mistakes in this game and started to play just a little bit more passive later on in this game. And I think it worked out for us. But with Jalen Smith and Tate Crowder out there, I mean, they combined for almost 20 tackles. A lot of people are saying, Tate Crowder is kind of, shy and timid as far as just getting in there and getting his nose in there and really not being hesitant. And, yeah, we're seeing that. But Tate Crowder is not the kind of guy that we should be expecting to be starting at the middle linebacker position. And as a guy who's playing like a depth piece role, especially when you get rid of Blake Martinez early on in the year, I think Tate Crowder's doing a pretty good job. So not too bad for me. Jalen Smith, man, he played 4 games with the Giants last year, but pretty much coming off the streets. and coming in here and being an effective piece with 9 tackles. And he was flying all over the field. That's what I like about Jalen Smith. He's very high energy. I don't know if that comes from the Dallas culture, because I feel the same way about Randy Gregory over there with Dallas when he was with Dallas last year. The dude is just high energy every play. He doesn't take plays off, grinds it out, and that's what we saw from Jalen Smith. So defense did their part in this game, man. You know, it's the Bears at the end of the day, man, and the Bears were terrible coming into this game. Their pass offense was just absolutely ridiculously terrible. You know, they were coming in with 297 total passing yards through 3 weeks. It's the worst since 1975. You know, their passing attempts was the worst since 1980. So not only are they not throwing the ball down the field, they're not effective at it. So for me, you know, it's I take this win with a grain of salt, but a win is a win is a win. I felt great after we got the W. I was hanging out with the homies and really wanted to get out there. And, you know, it's like you don't want to go to a bar, hang out with the homies. I usually watch all of Giants games in the crib in my studio, 3 screens, red zone, all that. And to go out, it's good to just get a victory, you know. And outside of that, you know, my homie the Beard, man, his team, they lost. It's unfortunate for them because Philadelphia Eagles took care of business. Philadelphia Eagles were down 14-0 in that game. I wasn't really worried for them. The Eagles look like one of the best teams in the NFL right now. But it's good to get a little bit of some leadway on the Washington football team or the Washington Commanders. I'm not too mad at that. I know the Bears feeling like crap on a Monday morning. 2 weeks in a row they lose games. But for the Giants, it yields very well. And now we're sitting at, you know, we're tied for second, 3-1. Dallas Cowboys have the tiebreaker. But moving forward, I mean, I couldn't ask for more, man. They've exceeded my expectations. I will say, you know, not per position, obviously, but as a team, the way that they're getting these gutsy wins, they've exceeded my expectations. And I couldn't ask for more, man. I'm super happy about it. So let's get off into these overreactions, man. And, you know, we got about a good 30 more minutes to knock these out. I got some really good ones, man. A fantastic one from Dan Orlovsky I want to start with, too. But shout out to everybody that's in the building, man. We already approaching 100. I appreciate y'all pulling up. Y'all know what it is, man, over here at Awthentik in the Beard, man. Left side, strong side in the building. Let me see them bicep emojis in the chat one time before we get off into these overreactions one time. All right, man, let's get right to it. I wanted to start with a clip from Dan Orlovsky. This one came from the Get Up. And Dan Orlovsky has been pretty transparent on his position on the quarterback with the New York Giants and whatnot. Pretty favorable takes, I would say, from Dan Orlovsky on the normally in support of Daniel Jones. Has brought up things about the offensive line being a major issue. He's always under pressure. Highest rated pressure against the quarterback is against Daniel Jones entering this game. But this statement that he said on this morning's Get Up, I definitely wanted to bring this to y'all attention. So let's go ahead and start with this one real quick.
Coming into the season, the Giants had 3 questions. Did we find our head coach? That answer is unequivocally, absolutely yes.
Absolutely.
Is Saquon Barkley going to be anything in this league? It certainly seems that way. And is Daniel Jones part of our future? No. And that was the answer before this season.
Yeah.
And a month into the season, the answer is still no.
So, Giants fans, what y'all think about Dan Orlovsky's take on Daniel Jones? It's pretty much saying, and I paraphrased the quote a little bit on the screen, but you heard it. Daniel Jones is not a part of the future for the New York Giants. We're now a quarter into the season. Does give you a bit of time to gauge. Have we seen any improvement from Daniel Jones dating back to last season? I like to use Jalen Hurts as a great comparison because if you look at Jalen Hurts last year, and yeah, they upgraded the weapons for sure. This is kind of what we thought we were going to get out of this offense back in 2021 when we brought in Kenny Galladay and drafted Kadarius Toney. Instead, that offense was down at the bottom of the league, and Daniel Jones was a guy who was sitting around 12 touchdowns to finish the year. Not enough productivity, if you ask me. But Giants fans, what do y'all think about Dan Orlovsky's take? Now, the first 2 parts that he talked about, we got the coach, Saquon Barkley, all that, he's spot on with that. You ain't gonna get no argument from me there. You're gonna get a little bit of backlash from me from the part about Daniel Jones a little bit, but I want to see what Giants fans are talking about in the chat one time. I'm gonna give y'all a little bit of time to populate y'all answers and see what we talking here. So now, for those of y'all that don't know, if you think this is an overreaction and he's incorrect on this statement, put an O in the chat. If you agree with the statement, let me see a U in the chat. That means you're taking the under on this. And if you need a little bit more time on Daniel Jones, which I know a lot of y'all might need a little more time, I've been giving a push about Daniel Jones topics for the first 3 weeks of the season. If you need to push, let me see a P in the chat one time or that hand emoji one time. Let me see what y'all talking one time in the chat. Salute to everybody in the building one time, man. Y'all know what it is, man. Got just about 90 in the building in here, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up on a Victory Monday. This is going to be a fantastic victory week for our New York Giants as we prepare to go to London and take on the Green Bay Packers next week. And don't forget to check us out tomorrow. We're going to be doing a recap, full in-depth recap of this game versus the Bears, and also talking about all the other games within the NFC East. Make sure to check us out for those. So let me scroll back just a little bit one time. Big biceps in the building. I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all know what it is. All right, so we got a couple of pushes to start this off right off the bat. We got a push from the homie Book and Tackle. Shout out to Book and Tackles in the building one time. NY Chris in the building. He's taking the push. But Mac the Giants fan, salute to Mac, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Mac the Giants fan. He's taking the under on this one. He agrees with the statement on the screen saying that Daniel Jones is not a part of the future. AJ Nix says Daniel Jones is our future. Shout out to AJ Nix. I think that's a new name in the building. Appreciate you pulling up, fam. Edward Squires in the building with the GQ vibes. He's taking a push on Daniel Jones being a part of the future one time. A man of the culture says he's taking a push with a little bit of an under on it. He's kind of just leaving a little bit of room to correct it in case Daniel Jones come out next week in London balling out. But that's definitely up in the air with that ankle injury. We don't even know if we're going to have Daniel Jones. We'll see. But he's taking a push along with Matthew Fernandez in the building. Matthew taking a push as well. Adam taking that under. Big Pat says this is an overreaction. Big Pat thinks that Daniel Jones is a part of the future with the New York Giants. Maybe that near future one time for sure, but we talking about that future going into next year. And I know Big Pat is a big supporter of Daniel Jones too, man. He thinks Daniel Jones is a part of the future. James Earl Moans, that's a fire name one time. He's taking a push on this one time. And now we got a couple of explanations out. And this definitely what I want to see because I want to know the whys. I want to know why do y'all think one way or the other when you're picking the push or taking the overreaction one time. NY Chris says he has all season to prove himself. You're not making that decision 4 weeks in. That's a great point. I love that point right there. That kind of supports my answer and how I'm going to react to this statement from Dan Orlovsky as well. And Marjorie, shout out to Marjorie, who's always dropping the Marge bombs in the building one time. Push, too early to make that call. So I like that. That push is a good call there. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets says overreaction to DJ take. Big O, still a little too early, and DJ has definitely shown improvement. I bet San Francisco thought they could move on from Jimmy. That's a good point, man. I'm one of them people, too, that when they brought in the young quarterback, when they brought in Trey Lance, I just use my eyes, man. I'm not saying I'm always right on it or nothing like that, but just using my eyes, I was like, that kid's not ready. He didn't look ready. Looked a little bit, I saw this video the other day, and for those of y'all that were on the parlay on Sunday and you checked out our show on Thursday, our preview show, I talked about this. There was a channel called Thinking Football, and I'm telling y'all, go and subscribe to these dudes over there. They have a narrator that takes care of all the voice work and somebody who does the writing that is just amazing. And they were talking about Lamar Jackson, and they were talking about Jalen Hurts. And the one thing that they talked about where those two quarterbacks are excelling and why they're so good is how quickly their eyes react and then their body moves to what their eyes see. That's what you need out of a quarterback. To me, that's the elevations that you're seeing out of a guy like Jalen Hurts this year. When it's not there, he's peeling out, he's getting out of there. I still think Daniel Jones still has a little bit of issues in that department. If you look back at last week when the Cowboys put the spy on him late in the game, I forget the guy's name, Wilson, number 6. They had a quarterback spy with a DB that was just sticking with Daniel Jones for the rest of the second half pretty much. It was like late in the third quarter on to the fourth. And when you look at the intentional grounding call that they called on Daniel Jones, he has a moment there where he can get rid of that ball. And you see the slow thinking kind of start to happen a little bit. Now, what I will say about this game, what I saw an improvement from Daniel Jones, like in a drastic way, and it's one thing that I love about Jalen Hurts. When Jalen Hurts runs the RPO, look at the fakes, man, and the ball movement. It's crispy. And Daniel Jones coming off the boot, a lot of the reason why he was so wide open, granted, I'd say 90% of it is Saquon Barkley's effectiveness in the running game. But the other 10% is Daniel Jones, the ball fakes. I mean, just looking crispy back there. The camera was getting faked out from Daniel Jones. He was having such great fakes, which to me was more of a reason to run some play action out there, man. Like, take that shot sometimes, man. You got this running game clicking like nobody's business, and, like, we don't take these big shots. But Daniel Jones, man, the play fakes, incredible. I got to give him his props. You see a little bit of a crispier quarterback. I will say that. He's not making those big mistakes. Talking about a game here where he didn't turn the ball over. That turnover-prone type thing with Daniel Jones, if he can continue to play the way he is, I think people are going to start to dismiss that. We got to have balance, though, when we're talking about the quarterback position, okay? I see people on Twitter, and y'all are it's just Homerville. Y'all so out there. Like, Daniel Jones is out here throwing 3 touchdowns a game. That's not what's happening. He's game managing. This is like, and I don't want to, degrade his play or anything, but this is like when Rex Grossman is playing good. This is what that is. He's taking care of the ball. That's fantastic. And we're winning games. That's fantastic. But he's not doing a lot to elevate the play. People are looking at them 2 touchdowns like Daniel Jones juked 3 defenders, spun him. Bro, they wide. I could score those touchdowns. I'll keep it funky with you. My play fake ain't going to be as nice as Daniel Jones. But I could have ran in there and scored those touchdowns. They was wide open. I like the awareness of Daniel Jones to be able to see it quickly and react on it. There was another boot play where he had a lot of green grass in front of him and he could have ran it, but Daniel Bellinger's down there one-on-one with a safety just barreling down on him. He makes the quick, hot throw. Bellinger takes a pretty decent hit, but it's a first down. Daniel Jones is doing everything he has to do to win these games. He's doing everything that the coaches are asking him to do 4 weeks into the football season. So for me, I got to take the push on this. If I had to judge it off last season and say, is Daniel Jones the future? I'd say absolutely not. But you got to get this kid the time, 17 games, to be able to try to prove himself with a competent coaching staff, as everyone likes to say. The cliche is a competent coaching staff, right? But I will say this, man. My homie Stan hit me up. Stan be dropping them nuggets in the DMs one time. He dropped me a quick 4-piece here and there and, stuff like that. We got a new coaching regime in here, and you could blame all you want to blame on Daniel Jones' productivity or lack thereof, right? He's on pace right now for 13 touchdowns. You can't be an NFL quarterback if you consistently are getting around 12 touchdowns a season. I don't care if Daniel Jones is your blood brother. Okay, you cannot get 13 touchdowns in 17 games and think that you could be a starting quarterback in the NFL. So I think he knows he has to elevate his play, but at the same time, we're getting our feet wet within the new offensive system right now. He's still learning things, and hopefully, for all Giants fans across the country, y'all know what it is in the building, that Daniel Jones can improve within this scheme. And later on in the season, when we start playing teams that we're not supposed to beat, we can start getting some wins on the back of Daniel Jones throwing the ball. That's what I want to see. I'm going to keep it real with you. 4 weeks in to rely on the running game, I'm all good with it. It's fantastic to come out of this 3-1, and the coaches aren't giving Daniel Jones anything that's too much for his plate. He's being able to handle what's on his plate in a great way. They gave him 13 throws in this game. You can't – what's he going to audible at the line on running plays and say, screw y'all, we running the oop-de-oop? This ain't varsity blues. We can't do that. So Daniel Jones is doing exactly what he's been asked to do, and he's doing a good job. Shout out to Joseph Clark one time in the building, too. Yeah, DJ's always faking out the cameraman. Like, the way he because even when he keeps the ball and he runs, the way he tucks it near his gut, he uses his body to shield it off, and you really can't see. You can't see the ball, and then Saquon's doing a great job of acting like he's got the ball too, man. I love what they're doing with the boot, particularly in this game. I still think the Giants need to take a page out of the Eagles' playbook and start stealing the way they run that RPO. I think that's how you could get Kenny Golladay a little bit more involved in this game. Or in game plans moving forward. Because right now, one target for Kenny Golladay bothers me. It really does bother me. I believe Kenny Golladay did have one call back, too, in this game. I'm not 100% sure. But, it's tough, man, when you out there, you paying a guy $70+ million, and he's not – there's no productivity coming from the wide receiver department. And he should be looking himself in the mirror and thinking, like, what can I do? What else can I do to make this offense more high-powered? I don't know if it's the injury, if it's the hip lingering. I don't know. We'll find out here at least by the end of the season when the Giants either figure out what they're going to do, if they're going to part ways with a guy like Kenny Golladay, or if if he's in the future plans. I should have asked y'all if Kenny Golladay was in the future plans, but right now it's not looking like it. And for me with the Daniel Jones one, I definitely got to take the push on it. I think get a kid a little bit more time. If after the bye week it still looks like this, then you can the verdict is out on Daniel Jones and you can make your decision on him. Shout out Joseph Clark one time, man. I appreciate you pulling up. And your presence, man, more importantly, but the $2 super chat for sure, man. Just wanted to get that graphic off the screen one time and then bring that up. Shout out my guy one time, man. Joseph Clark, man. He's been rocking with us for a long time. I want to say Joseph is over there with I want to say the channel's called Toilets and Towels, I believe it is. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody put his link in the chat. One of my mods handle that. Please, man, because Joseph Clark, I can remember like some late streams from way back in the day. He popped in on one of the late streams after a tough loss and rocked with us for a few minutes, man, gave his point of view. And I've been trying to check y'all out as much as I can. I think I've seen about 2 of y'all shows, man, digging what y'all doing over there. And appreciate you pulling up, man, and showing some respect for the content, man. Definitely was planning this show since like 10 a.m., man. It's wild how this goes. You got to get right on it, get right to it, man. And, creating content is definitely a task, but I enjoy it, man. If I could create content like this, just football stuff full time, I would totally do it. Right now, we're doing some studio work stuff, some photography, film work as well, which those are my passions as well. And I love just taking the football content, kind of, implementing that within my passions that, turn into a bit of a career. It's kind of awesome, man. I'm very fortunate to be able to come here and chop it up with y'all. We got 90 in the building right now. Just to be able to come here and chop it up with 90 people about my opinions on football is amazing. So definitely appreciate y'all pulling up. Shout out to the homie Joseph Clark one time in the building, man. All right. Y'all know what it is, man. Awthentik in the beard. I tell you what, man, I'm going to get the Manscaped read out the way right now. We're gonna do that one right now. And that way we can talk about some football for this last 15 minutes of the show. Shout out to Manscaped one time, man, for sponsoring this episode of the Giant Overreaction with Awthentik and the Beard, man. This show is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Insert my man the Beard saying bars right here. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you. 20% and free worldwide shipping, Craig. So everybody if you over there in Europe, you over there in Africa, if you watching me from my hometown in Haiti one time, you know what I'm saying? You get free shipping over there, man. Y'all know what it is, man. 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code AATB. Use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. Y'all know what it is, man. Shout out to Manscaped, man. They always holding us down, man. That's a good look. They're holding down a lot of people in the Giants community and just the content creation football community in general. So salute to them, man. From people up in high rankings. Pat McAfee's, all these people getting Manscaped sponsorships all the way down to the little ones like Awthentik and the Beard. So salute to them for spreading the wealth across the content creation community. All right. And, man, if y'all want to continue the discussion on Twitter when this show is done, follow me at Awthentik on Twitter, man. Those discussions get a little wild over there. People, man, I had some dudes coming from my neck on Sunday after the win, literally just giving some critique on the game, man. And people just like, enjoy the win, crying, blah, blah, all this. I'm just like, bro, this is what I do, man. I'm going to be critical. I'm an adult, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just all peaches and cream 112 over here, okay? Like, I got to keep it real and assess my team. And that's what I'm going to do, man. Saquon Barkley, though, I tweeted out this morning, man. Thank God for Saquon Barkley. For real. Because outside of that, I don't know what the Giants would do. And let's jump in and talk about Saquon Barkley one time, man. Appreciate everybody pulling up. Y'all know what it is, man. 80+ in the building over here at Awthentik and the Beard. So we talked about Saquon's 146 yards rushing on 31 carries, 4.7 yards per carry, man. The dude was all over the place. Some great runs, and we got to give our kudos to the offensive line as far as the run blocking goes. They did a good job in this game, man. Held it down, opened up some holes for Saquon. Saquon's the kind of back that I feel like if you just don't let him get touched in the backfield, the dude is going to impress. Second level, he makes guys miss, and we see it sometimes when he doesn't make a linebacker miss. And you see like Saquon get tackled, he'll make the cut, and you'll be like, maybe he made the wrong cut there. And he gets tackled, you could kind of see it in his face like, man, I just let one go. I could have maybe took that another 15 yards had I broken that tackle. And he's that kind of back. And I saw this next statement on Twitter, and I wanted to bring this one up to y'all and see what y'all thoughts were on this one. We're going to leave the people on Twitter anonymous, but if you want to search the exact tweet by the words, you can totally do that. And join that discussion. I jumped in there. And homie said, without Saquon, we're 0-4 right now. He is the whole offense. It would be insane to trade him. So it's a pretty loaded question there, right? But I want y'all to respond on this. Let me know if it's an overreaction. Give me an O in the chat. And if you don't think it's an overreaction and you think this statement is accurate on the screen, let me see a U. That means you're going to take the under. And if you need a little bit more time, which I don't think you should need a little bit more time on this one, you can put the P or the hand emoji to take the push on this one. I see Marjorie dropping a bomb in the chat one time. She says Alex Bachman's stats versus the Bengals in preseason: 11 receptions on 14 targets for 122 yards, 2 touchdowns, 6 first down catches, 2 missed tackles forced, 4 plays of 15+ yards or more, and 1 big special teams tackle. Alex Bachman might be a guy they want to bring back in, man. I follow him on Instagram, man. He's a man of God, very faithful kind of guy. He seems like, he just said when he got cut, he had faith in the Lord. God going to take care of this. And if that's correct, man, I think we're going to see Alex Bachman back on this roster because we could use all the wide receiver help we could possibly get right now. I mean, this wide receiver core, you're getting 1 catch out of 6 guys, and then your leading receivers at tight end with 3 catches for like, what was it, 30-something yards or something like that, 23 yards. Yeah, that's not good for the offense. But granted, the game plan called for the run, and that's exactly what we did in this game. But with this statement on the screen, I want to know what y'all thinking. Overreaction? Is that overreaction? Would the Giants be 0-4 right now if you take away Saquon Barkley out of the equation? And also, it would be insane to trade him. I saw a lot of people talk. The reason why I love this like loaded statement on Twitter here was because it takes care of 2 things. It talks about what the Giants would be like without Saquon Barkley, possibly in the future, and what it would be like without him in these first 4 games. And then it also talks about how we would feel if we traded him. So let me see what the chat talking about right now one time. That's funny, this beat. Most people seem to be taking the under on this one. So I got unders from a bunch of y'all. I got under from Bubs, Mac the Giants fan, NY Chris, Bells, John B in the building one time. Shout out John B. Had hits with my homie Tupac early on in the 90s. Salute to John B in the building one time. Ben Dawson, man. Shout out to Ben Dawson, man. He's always continuing the conversation on Twitter as well, too, man. New follower, new member of the family. Appreciate you pulling up, fam. He's taking the under on this one. Jay Jean. It's the first answer I saw that was not taking the under. Big push. Let's see if he can stay healthy first. Yeah, I mean, that's real deal right there. We know Saquon Barkley has dealt with injuries twice in his career. 2 big injuries, man, the ACL, the high ankle sprain in 2019 as well. Missed a couple of games. But damn, Saquon looking like a beast right now, man. Dare I say he looked better than his 2018 season? Them runs, man, he is just running hard. Like, the run after catch on the screenplay that got broken up. The way that he finished that run, like he really wanted the goal line on that play. You could tell he reversed field, then he got downhill, 100 miles per hour. He's just going right at the defense, lowers that shoulder, lowers the boom. Last year, Saquon Barkley might have tiptoed out of bounds. Man, I love what I'm seeing from Saquon Barkley, man. I got to tip my cap to that guy, man, because I'm gonna keep it funky with y'all, man. Without Saquon Barkley, this team is absolutely nothing right now. You'd be looking at an 0-4 team. Dismal offensive performances because where else would they get it from if it wasn't Saquon Barkley right now? Definitely can't rely on this wide receiver core. We know that. And the quarterback seems to be limited with the situation with the offensive line. I do think that Daniel Jones is the kind of quarterback, if you gave him time, he could do some things and make some things work. But without that offensive line creating a brick wall for him, Daniel Jones is not going to be a guy that's going to be able to put a team on his back on his all on his lonesome. That ain't going to happen. So Saquon Barkley, I'm going to say that, yeah, I'm taking the under on this one, 100%. Without him, we're 0-4. It would be absolutely insane to trade him. With this tweet, he did go on to say within the season, but I just wanted to cut that off to just talk about it moving forward. I think you got to find a way to bring back Saquon Barkley in 2023. Hands down, man. He makes the rebuild easier because you know you got that piece there. The Giants salary cap situation is going to increase next year, and it should look a lot better. Now, are we going to make Saquon Barkley a top-paid running back in the league? I think that Saquon Barkley and this coaching staff and this front office, they're going to have to come to some sort of an agreement that meets, in the middle. And I pray to God that they can do that because without Saquon Barkley, this rebuild could get really ugly, especially if they move on from Daniel Jones. Then you're looking at a rookie quarterback coming in and starting. I really think that the Tyrod Taylor experiment is completely over. He'll be the backup for the rest of the season and possibly next season, but I don't think there's any way, there's no chance that you see Tyrod Taylor be the bridge quarterback going into next year when and if they do draft a rookie. I just don't think you're going to see that. So for me, it's like, do you just keep Daniel Jones? And if you trade Saquon Barkley, keeping Daniel Jones doesn't make any sense to me. You definitely got to find a way to bring back Saquon Barkley. And if Daniel Jones, if this leads to more wins, I think you're going to have a decision to make at the end of the year with Daniel Jones, because do you just want to just like pull that from underneath of your team's legs? If you got a quarterback and it's working, I think you could bring him back on maybe a team-friendly deal, maybe a 1-2 year type vibe. Doesn't mean you don't draft a quarterback. You definitely got to draft a quarterback. That's 100%. There's a ton of quarterbacks coming out in this draft this year, so you got to make that move. For me, though, to trade Saquon Barkley would be absolutely ridiculous. And I'm just scrolling under here to just see. My man Matthew Fernandez says, major under. Saquon Barkley is not only our only real playmaker, but he got that dog in him. He got that big dog in him and is a leader of this team. Yeah, I didn't talk about that enough either. I mean, he's captain, leader. They're looking for Saquon Barkley to make the play. And that's what sparks this whole offense and gets this team going. I think it even gets the defense going, because could you imagine playing defense without Saquon Barkley? You go out there, you shutting down teams, you're forcing 3 and outs, you're getting pressure on the quarterback, and then the offense comes out there and you're getting 3 and outs and all that stuff like that. You would kill the moral of the defense. And in return, I think that the defense has somebody that they can look forward to, that they know when this offense gets out on the field at any given time, Saquon Barkley can break a big run open and get this team in scoring position. Now, the red zone, we didn't fare too well in this game. I think the Giants were 1 for 3 in the red zone in this game too, and I think that's something that's been an issue since Daniel Jones has been at the quarterback position for the New York Giants. Is red zone, just our offense in general in the red zone has not been great. A lot of people wanted to put that on Jason Garrett, and I'm just starting to feel like we need to lean a little bit more of what's going on towards the quarterback position, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. Every player out there in the NFL has their limitations. And I think Daniel Jones does. It's very clear that he has some limitations for sure. And the red zone might be one of them. I'm just trying to get them stats right there. Yeah, so we were 1 for 2 in the red zone, actually, in this game. The Bears were 0 for 3. But some of that red zone issue, I think, has to do with the quarterback position. And some of the lack of touchdown issue, I think, has to do with the quarterback as well, especially after he's a bit shell-shocked. The kid now knows he has the label as a turnover machine, and I'd say now that he hasn't even really been turning the ball over the last season and into this season, 4 games, he hasn't even really turned the ball over, but that still lives in his mind, I feel like. And that might be some of the reasons why you're not seeing the shots, the risky throws, the tight windows until this team gets down late in the game, and then you just see Daniel Jones kind of just get loose. In this game, we really didn't even have to worry about that. The Giants, I want to say, never even trailed in this game. If they did, it was very short-lived. And shout out to No Mets, No Nets, No Jets. He says not one quarterback in the league can help this wide receiver core. Not one. I can't go there. We've seen people like Deshaun Watson do it when Brandon Cooks got hurt with the Texans. Came out there and he put up some major numbers. Now, we know you don't want a guy out there with no wide receivers. I also think a guy like Lamar Jackson can do it too. When you look at Hollywood Brown last year being really the number 1 target over there, Mark Andrews, obviously the tight end position makes things easier. When I think about a wide receiver core, I don't think about the tight end. And we had Evan Ingram at tight end. That wasn't helping us. Obviously, he was not great at the position. Mark Andrews is top tier. He's 1, maybe 2 at the tight end position in the entire NFL, which definitely helps. But when you got a quarterback who's elusive and can do things with his legs, I think it definitely helps. And why Chris said he had Will Fuller, and Will Fuller was suspended for a good chunk of that season as well. I can't even remember the guys that was out there. Somebody look that up, maybe check that out. But I remember Will Fuller was definitely suspended for a little bit while. But No Mets, he says, okay, Lamar, but no other QB has those skills. You're right about that. It's very unicorn type of vibes. And especially when you're running for your life, that makes it very difficult when you're running for your life. Daniel Jones is not the kind of guy who's going to run and improv and do some crazy stuff. He, in one way, he reminds me of Baker Mayfield, where once he gets going, it's like Baker Mayfield, when he's flushed out of the pocket, there's no coming back or cutting inside or none of that. You're just going until you get to that sideline, and you're going to try to get some yards either on your legs, or you're going to try to find a little throw down the field once you get a little bit of pursuit from the defense. And Daniel Jones is limited in that way. This is why I've always said he's not a mobile quarterback, but he can run. We saw that in this game, too, with the 2 touchdowns and the 68 yards. He can definitely run. But, yeah, it's very, maybe a handful of quarterbacks that could possibly come in here and do some damage. It looks really bad. It just looks really bad on offense right now. And I don't know. I can't really pinpoint exactly what it is. I don't think these wide receivers suck. That I will say that. I don't think these wide receivers suck. I don't think it's that. Richie James has shown that he can do some things. Kenny Golladay has already proven in this league he can do some things unless he's dealing with an injury. And we know the first 3 weeks we had Sterling Shepard out there. Those 3 guys should be able to get some things done. David Sills is a guy I think that they gotta really put him under a microscope. I don't think he's really helping his team out too much. You gotta put him under a microscope and maybe make somebody else active for a game or two, or try test things out. You gotta test things out. But as far as the wide receiver core, I can't really pinpoint things. And shout out to Ben Dawson one time bringing up a really good point. The loss of Colin Johnson is looming large right now. Yeah, that's facts, man. And Colin Johnson was a guy who we know from last year. I mean, he could do some things, but nobody looking at Colin Johnson to come in here and be a number 1 wide receiver, obviously, but definitely could have helped this core. We saw it in the preseason. He was doing some things, and dating back to last season when we were banged up at the wide receiver position, he was doing some things too. So, yeah, I mean, I think that made the coaching staff kind of hit panic button when Colin Johnson goes out and goes, hey, well, we need another wide receiver who's that kind of stature to do, those kind of things on the outside at the X position at the wide receiver. And that's probably why Sills was signed or, was kept to be a part of the 53-man roster. And James Earl Moans talks about Pettis. I mean, Pettis was playing on the other sideline last week or this past week with the Chicago Bears. And I saw, man, person I didn't mention too much was Adoree Jackson. He played a great game, man. I was a little skeptical on Adoree Jackson because I felt like he used to get hurt a lot, like banged up. Every time they threw his way deep down the field, you see him come up hobbling. And I was worried about him in the coming up and stepping up in the running game, like trying to make tackles on the edge. That dude, man, I couldn't ask for more, man. He's a number one corner for sure in this league, man. And he's fitting very well with this Wink Martindale scheme. So big shout out to him. But yeah, Pettis, we could use Pettis. Pettis was a guy who reminded me a bit of what Richie James does in the middle of the field and also can be that deep down the field threat. Now, we did take a shot down the field, and we luckily we got the pass interference call on Slayton. I thought that call should have went the other way. For me, if you're playing wide receiver and you extend your arm all the way out, it's an automatic call for me, pass interference on the offense. The defender was grabbing Slayton a little bit there, and then he ended up dropping the ball. So thank God he got the pass interference because that would have came down as a drop if the call wasn't made. Ended up working in our favor. And I'd say 2 weeks in a row, man, the referees definitely been working in our favor. So shout out to the Zebras out there, man. They've been definitely leaning things a little bit more towards New York Giants. And in the past, that really ain't been the case, man. So shout out to them Zebras, man, doing their thing. But to wrap this one up, y'all know we got mostly unders on this one. And a lot of people are in agreement with this statement. So I'm going to go tell the homie who had this statement on Twitter. I'm going to go tell him that a lot of people agreed with him, man, and shout out to him. Shout out to Chat69XYZ in the building one time, spamming the best football show, not on television right now. Y'all know what it is, man. Awthentik in the Beard, the Giant Overreaction, week 4. We got 2 more to get into, man. We're going to run through these pretty fast, and we're going to get up out of here. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. I see Jameson made it back in the building. Shout out to Jameson and his Braves one time. Shout out to Mac, the Giants fan. Jermaine R. Brown is in the building one time. And he says, what do you guys think about Bachman? So y'all go ahead and answer that question in the chat, man. I saw Marjorie drop the bomb earlier. Listed Bachman's stats in the preseason. Lights out, man. Bachman was balling out in the preseason. We know it's against less tier talent. But, hey, he was doing some things right now. We're struggling at the wide receiver position. I would be all for bringing Alex Bachman back on the New York Giants 53-man roster and bring him out there in week 5 in London and see what he can do, man. He already knows the scheme a good bit. I'm sure he could get out there and do some things and maybe give Richie James a little bit of a breather a little bit until we get Wan'Dale Robinson back in this lineup. It's tough, man. I mean, we're dealing with these big injuries at the wide receiver position, man. No Wan'Dale, no Kadarius Toney. Those were supposed to be the 2 focal points of this offense, and they're both on the sideline, man. And Bachman's just at home chilling, bro. Like, he's not on a team right now. So he's definitely available to come out here and play for the New York Giants, man. So I'm looking forward to that. I think he could be a guy. He's got good hands. You'll never see him dropping passes like that. He reminds me of like the Danny Amendola kind of style of wide receiver. Not the fastest guy, but very crafty in and out of his routes. He can run that slot pretty well. And I'm sure he knows the offense enough where he could probably get out there and run some of those outside routes as well. He's not a deep down the field kind of threat kind of guy. But I do think he could bring some, bring an impact to this offense that's lacking in that passing game extremely, man. But shout out to all of y'all, man. We got about 90 in the building right now on all platforms, man. Big salute to the Giants Nation on this Victory Monday, man. Don't forget to check us out tomorrow. We're going to be doing a full in-depth recap on this game, digging into numbers. I'm sure the beer got a little bit to talk about with the roadmap for the Washington Commanders and how that went left. And I'm going to definitely bring at least a 10-piece nugget on the New York Giants, man. So definitely pull up 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. Awthentik in the Beard. Y'all know what it is over here, man. Left side, strong side in the building. All right. Let's get into this next overreaction and see what y'all thinking about this one. All right, so this next one comes from Rex Ryan. This one was also on the Get Up. I was watching him early on in the morning. And he says, the New York Giants are not a playoff team. Chat, Giants Nation, let me know what y'all thinking about this one time in the chat. Is this an overreaction? I will say that he did kind of cover his tracks just a little bit after he did say that statement. He said, no Leonard Williams, no Kadarius Toney, no Wan'Dale Robinson. He says that they're way more talented than the public is giving them credit for. I will say that we do have some pieces here, man, and some staple pieces. When you look at the left tackle position with Andrew Thomas, the running back position, strong safety with Xavier McKinney, Dane Belton is looking like he's going to be a guy. Adoree Jackson is definitely a pivotal piece for this offense, or for this defense. Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence. So when you look to fill holes on this team, it's just a few holes to fill, and I do think you can win games with Daniel Jones at the quarterback position, but that might be something that a lot of people are saying we need to fill that hole. But the way you fill Daniel Jones has to be a transition. Don't just go into next season, cut ties with him, bring in this rookie quarterback and hope that, hey, it's all going to be peaches and cream, like I said earlier. It's probably not, and you might take a step back by doing that. Tight end is looking pretty good with Bellinger, especially in the way that our coaches and Brian Dable are scheming the tight end position, because it's a lot of run block, and then just when you don't expect it, they sneak out for a nice little catch there. And I think that's why a guy like Dawson Knox is so touchdown dependent in Buffalo. Great blocker, gets out there, and when you least expect it, he's getting wide open for these passes. Bellinger's wide open every time he catches the ball, catching these little short passes of, in between 2 and 6 yards, something like that, and then always getting a little bit of yards after the catch. But I want to know what y'all think about this. Is this an overreaction? And I think what he's saying here is the Giants are not a playoff team. He's talking about today. He's not saying that it's an absolute no chance that the Giants make the playoffs. I don't think that's what he's saying there, because he does continue on in that statement to say a little bit more that if they can win some games that are unexpected and beat some teams that they're not expected to beat, you might very well see them in the playoffs. But what do y'all think about this? Are you going to take the overreaction? Let me see an O in the chat. If you think that the statement on the screen is accurate and you're going to take the under, let me see a U in the chat. And I'm gonna dial this back and see what the chat is talking about one time. Let me bring this back. All right, so let me see. We got, shout out to Thomas Burke one time in the building. New face. Appreciate you pulling up. Dable has this team at 3-1. Just crazy. And they said Rex sucks. Shout out to Rex Ryan one time, though, man. Rex Ryan relying on all his football knowledge from back in the day to have a broadcast analyst job one time, man. I appreciate all the work that anybody who's contributing to the content creation community or any value, bringing any value on national media. I got to give them their props, man. It's not easy to do a show like The Herd or The Get Up or even a show like The First Take. I don't watch that no more. I can't stand them. But big props to them, man. They're putting in the work. You know what I'm saying? It might not be the accurate kind of work, but they're putting in the work. So you got to give them a participation trophy, if I might add. So let me see what people talking about in the chat one time. James Earl Moan says he's taking under. Rex is a big mouth, but he's correct this season. Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that one, man. That's a good point right there. BJ says these next 4 games will tell it. And that's a fact, man. If the Giants could come out here in these next 2 games even and surprise with a win, I might be looking at them like, bro, this is a playoff team because of the coach. The coach is an extension of the players. And Brian Dable is, man, he is a great extension of the players right now. Brian Dable is putting these players in the best position to be able to win games, and I'm here for it, man. I got my popcorn ready, straight up and down. Jay Jean is taking the push. To be honest, the rest of the league out here underperforming. The spread between the best and the worst teams don't look that crazy. That's a great point right there, because especially in the NFC, there's not many great teams in the NFC. I mean, you see teams like the Buccaneers right now. They are struggling, man. Teams that you thought were going to be front runners right off the bat. Even the Packers got a slow start there, man. In the NFC East, we can talk about the Dallas Cowboys with the injury to Dak Prescott. I mean, people thought that they were going to be like leading the NFC probably if it wasn't going to be for the Philadelphia Eagles. And look at them. They took a step back. But I'm sure they're just as fortunate to be at 3-1 as we are right now with a backup quarterback who's got 2 straight wins, and looking like if Dak Prescott comes back and he's not playing well, Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones might be talking about a quarterback controversy over there, which would be ridiculous after you pay Dak Prescott that big money. But, Jay Jean, you make a good point here. I mean, I think it's a great point. Like, yeah, the rest of the NFC is not looking that great. Minnesota Vikings not off to a great start. You got a bunch of surprise teams out here like the Detroit Lions, man. I know they're not winning many games, but they are putting up big numbers offensively. I don't know where this is going to go, man. Seattle Seahawks are surprising right now with Geno Smith at quarterback. I told y'all people were sleeping on Geno Smith, talking about earlier on in the year, hey, they don't have a quarterback over there. I said, man, Geno Smith, man, you can't forget. The guy learned from Eli Manning. He learned from Joe Flacco, another veteran. It seems like he's got the tools physically to get it done. It's really just between the ears. And Seattle Seahawks looking a lot better this year, man. They were in a shootout this past weekend with the Detroit Lions, man. So a lot of unexpected teams for sure, man. Let me see this one from Willie Bean 24 one time. Teams that start the season 3-1 have a 67% chance to make the playoffs. That is fantastic for us, man. So I'm looking at that on the opposite end. You know, we're looking at a 33% chance that we ain't making the playoffs. But Giants are a surprise team this year, man, for sure. Sitting at 3-1. I know the schedule was favorable for sure, and we talked about that, you know, in the offseason a lot. When I was on a stream with Entertainer on his channel, we talked about that a lot. You know, the schedule is definitely favorable, and we thought that might be the reason why the Giants could sneak into somewhere between 7 and 9 wins. Kid Blue was another one who was saying, like, I just can't add it up. He's like, every time I look at the schedule and I try to add these games up, I end up with 8 wins for the New York Giants, and people are like, 8 wins, bro, you crazy. Right now, the New York Giants have 1 less win than they had all of last season, so it's looking really good for the New York Giants. A few more here as far as the overreaction goes. Dwight Melton in the building one time. Shout out to Dwight, man. That's a new face. Appreciate you pulling up. Welcome to the fam. If I didn't catch you in the last stream, if you're digging what we're putting down over here at Awthentik and the Beard, the Giant Overreaction Week 4, make sure to hit that new subscribe button on YouTube. They got a new, fresh, spiffy button. I hope all y'all hit that today, man. We're on our way to 2,500, man. So salute to everybody who's been rocking with us, man. Our day ones, our day twos, even everybody even if you just got on board yesterday to the channel, we appreciate you pulling up and rocking with us, man. Shout out Dwight. He's taking the under on this one. He thinks the Giants are not a playoff team. Brian Howard in the building. Shout out Brian, man. We be chopping it up on Twitter a lot. He thinks that the Giants are a playoff team. I'm not too mad at you on that. I'm kind of somewhere in the middle here. I might be taking a push on this one. Old man Rob says, not this year, but soon, baby. Shout out to old man Rob one time in the building. What else we got here? Go for Jaden. That's a new name one time in the building, too. Shout out Go for Jaden in the building. Appreciate you pulling up, fam. Says if the playoffs started right now, we'd be in the playoffs. Simple. So that's the simple answer for Go for Jaden here. He's saying the Giants are a playoff team, especially if you're looking at it under 4 weeks that the Giants will be in the playoffs today. So that's what it is. Shout out Anthony in the building one time. Anthony Kivler. That's a new name I think as well. I like that profile picture you got there. That blend of the New York Giants logo is super dope. Welcome to the fan, my guy. He says Dabo has this team at 3-1. And you got to laugh out loud. You literally do. Like, it's kind of crazy. He says, we have no talent, shows how good this coaching is. It really does show how good this coaching is. And beyond not having talent, this talent has no chemistry. That's what's crazy about it. Like, we got guys like Kenny Galladay, who looks like he lost his talent. You got Richie James out there, David Sills out there. You got people that are filling in for Leonard Williams right now, these no-name defensive linemen that I don't even know who these players are. You got young players that we just got in the draft, DJ Davidson out there. You got people who have, like, literally have no experience in the NFL. And there's not a lot of chemistry. And Dable is finding a way to win games, man. So big salute to him. And what's weird to me is, like, it doesn't look that different. Offensively, like, we don't look that different. It's like a lot of short throws, right? Relying on the running game, Daniel's legs, read option. It really looks a lot like last year. It's kind of crazy to me, but Brian Dable, those big decisions, he's finding ways to win games. He's 2-0 now on his challenges, and we know with Joe Judge struggled. He would just throw challenges out there for no damn reason. Brian Dable gets major praise from me over here, man. Awthentik in the Beard, trust me, we noticed the coaching changes that have happened within New York, and it has been effective so far, and we're reaping from that. And Wink Martindale, who might deserve more credit than Brian Dable, because this defense has been the one thing that you can say has been consistent throughout all of the games so far. So big shout out to Wink Martindale too, man. My homie from Baltimore was telling me, my homie Kane, he was like, man, you guys are so lucky. He's like, that's one guy that I did not want to see leave the Baltimore Ravens. And I don't know why it went sour. Like, Wink Martindale was dealing with a ton of injuries last year with the Ravens, in the secondary especially. And yeah, they didn't look good. They lost their quarterback. They were 8-3 and first in the AFC before Lamar Jackson went out, and then you end up firing Wink Martindale. I don't get it, because Wink Martindale, man, like, to me, if I had to say what was the biggest impact in the offseason that has now been implemented and is a reason why the New York Giants are actually seeing more wins, it's got to be Wink Martindale, man. Pressure on a quarterback, 6 sacks in this game, on a quarterback who's known to be mobile. And Justin Fields, man, that's the one part of his game that is very incredible, is the way he moves and maneuvers in the pocket and gets out of dangerous situations and runs after he gets crossing line of scrimmage, after things break down. But, man, that kid has trouble seeing what's happening downfield. And I know, he doesn't have a lot of talent out there, wide receiver, Darnell Mooney being the number 1 over there. But I think you got enough weapons to work with where you should be able to get some throws down the field at bare minimum. To have 297 passing yards through 3 games is just ridiculous. And they're not even testing it. They're not trying to throw the ball either. Darnell Mooney had 4 receptions entering this game. That's just not going to cut it. But I do with my eye test with Justin Fields, he's where Jalen Hurts was maybe not even last year, but the year before that. He's just relying on a lot of God-given talent and his hard work that he has put in thus far, but he's got to find a way to use his eyes. I'm starting to realize this myself. The eyes are just as important as any other asset that a quarterback has. You can see things happening with the rush. You see things down the field. You see what the secondary is doing. You see the schemes that they're being presented, and you can react fast and know what kind of coverage you're going up against. The eyes is very important. And then after that, it's how quickly does your brain relay those messages to your body and your body make those movements. Justin Fields, he's struggling. I'm starting to look at it like, yeah, we definitely won that trade for sure. Even though right now Kadarius Toney is not really doing much for this team, and it's very unfortunate. But I just think Justin Fields struggling for sure. Are the Giants a playoff team? I'm gonna take the push on that. I got to see what they do against some more sound competition here in the next 4 weeks. That Green Bay game is gonna be a good one because Green Bay's a beatable team. I really think that the Giants can go into London and beat Green Bay. If we go out there and we play our best, I'm gonna expect to win that game. Now I'm gonna keep the prediction to a bare minimum here, and I'm gonna leave that for our preview show on Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the same channel here, Awthentik in the Beard. Y'all know what it is. But I think we could beat them. I really think we could beat the Packers. They don't look that impressive. They're relying on young talent at the wide receiver position. Aaron Jones is not really playing great football just yet. They're kind of relying on Dillon to be a bruiser back. This doesn't look like your normal Green Bay Packers team. So I think we can go out there and beat them. But let's get and Dwight, you make a good point. It really depends on the injury bug. That's super important for us, man. If we got to deal with more, and this game, there was like 10 people that got injured on the field in this game. If we got to deal with more injuries up front and to our skill positions, that's going to be tough for the New York Giants to climb out of that hole. And Saquon is the one guy that he cannot get hurt. If Saquon gets hurt, this offense is gone. We talked about that on the other tweet that I brought up earlier. So injuries and we've been dealing with that since 2017. It's unfortunate. And now we're hoping that we could get back. They ain't been talking about it a lot, but I'm hoping we could get back Kadarius Toney, man, and Wan'Dale Robinson for this game in London. And the injury bug took out our quarterback in last week's game. What they going to do with Daniel Jones? Is this indeed a severe high ankle sprain? One of the beat writers came out today. I forget his name. I forget who it was. Came out today and said that the next 24 hours is pivotal for the New York Giants to know what's going to be going on the next couple of weeks. How severe is this injury with Daniel Jones? And I'd say just as important, what the hell is going on with Tyrod Taylor with the concussion? Crossing my fingers that one of those guys can be out there. I heard a rumor that the Giants might have to go to free agency or scooping somebody off of a practice squad. They were talking about Matt Barkley. We know how that experiment went last year. Maybe it could go a little bit better with Brian Dable at the helm, and if you call a reserved game plan like what we saw on Sunday, the reserved game plan for Daniel Jones, rely on the run, only throwing it 13 times. I mean, maybe you can get a game manager quarterback in here who's not really proven like that. Maybe Matt Barkley could come in here and salvage a game or two possibly, but I'm not banking on that. I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm definitely not banking on that. That, to me, just does not seem like a great plan moving forward, and I think you brought up a great point there about the injury bug. We don't want that injury bug to bite us again. It's already bitten us enough this year. After I get off on this stream here, once we wrap this up in a couple minutes, I'm going to go and look and see what teams are dealing with the most injuries, because it seems like the Giants are just right back at the top of that category again, and it's just unfortunate, man. It's almost like we're expecting players to be hurt now, and the thing with Kadarius Toney, it's almost like we're just expecting him to not play, and that, to me, he's the main guy outside the quarterback position right now that is very imperative that he gets healthy immediately. And shout out to Independent Outsider one time in the building for that $5 super chat one time. He says the Giants look much better because of their back-loaded conference schedule. Cowboys game was a wake-up call. That's real. And at the beginning of the year, Independent Outsider, I said to myself that if the Giants could manage to go 2-4 in the division, we'd be lucky. Because I felt like at the time Washington was going to be a much improved team with Carson Wentz at the quarterback position. And I do think that Washington was dealt a little bit of a tougher first 4 games than we were. And now they're sitting at 1-3, I believe it is. And, I always thought the Cowboys would be a problem. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, we already know. They've made major upgrades over there. And I'm pretty sure they are going to be a problem. So moving forward, we've only played one division game, and we lost that division game, which is why we're sitting in a tiebreaker in third place now at 3-1 in the NFC East with the Cowboys right there. But those division games are going to be tough, man. The end of the year is really going to tell a lot about this team. if the Giants could figure out a way to get healthy and be still in the mix once we get down to around week 10 and we get those games, we got 3 weeks where we're like back to back pretty much with Washington. We're gonna have to play them twice in 3 weeks. They have a bye, I believe, in between it. Then you got the Cowboys late. The Eagles are gonna be 2 late games. Those are gonna be the most important games on our schedule because not only are those gonna add more victories or L's to that category if that's the case, but they're division games where you can start to kind of notch those teams off a little bit. If the Philadelphia Eagles have however many games lead on the New York Giants when we get to go play them, beating them is going to be incredibly important. So those games are going to be super important, man. I think you brought up a good point there. And I'm just like, I just want to be where we're at right now when we get to those games. So can we go out here and win some surprise games, possibly? Then we get a little bit of a stretch there. Texans, Jaguars, a few other teams. I believe the Seahawks is within that stretch. I don't think those are teams that we should necessarily beat. But I look at those games just like I looked at the Carolina Panthers game, just like I looked at the Bears game. They're teams that you can beat. If you go out there and you play your best football, you can beat those teams. And that's what the Giants are going to have to do. Hopefully they can find a way to start ramping up, and as far as the incline goes, as far as the injuries go, before we get to those games. And this offense could just do a little bit more because right now with the defense playing the way that they're playing, keeping teams to under 20 points in games, that's going to yield well for the Giants. But we got to score over 20 ourselves. So I think you brought up a good point here, man. Thank you for the $5 super chat and the support on the channel, man. You've been a day one over here, steady holding us down, man. Appreciate your presence in the building, man. You're one of the bigger supporters in the Giants community, man. Hats off to you, man. Shout out to you and guys like Tudo, man, who really helped this community keep growing and encourage some of these younger folks, man, to start their own channels as well. Like, shout out to my guy, Ash Money, man, who, when I just hear Ash Money speak now, I heard him in the spaces yesterday, the dude is just like so knowledgeable about football now. And I think back to when I first saw Ash Money jumping into some of these roundtables and things like that. He was more of like a raw football fan. And now kind of seeing him, his takes are just like so spot on and just very knowledgeable about the game. So, this kind of support to our community, man, it really inspires the youth, man, and gets them involved in things like this way early. I wish I could have started a YouTube channel with the beard when we were in our 20s, and now I'm sitting on 39. And I'm fortunate enough that we got here like just in time, man. Like the content creation community is booming, and it wouldn't happen without people like Independent Outsider, man. So salute to you, brother. All right, y'all. So let's see here, man. Just seeing the comments a little bit here before we wrap this edition up of the Week 4 edition of the Giant Overreaction, man. Definitely appreciate all y'all pulling up in the building. This was a good chill vibe for a great way to start off Victory Monday. Man, y'all know victory weeks take forever. Thursday can't get here soon enough. Can't wait till we get to London. We're going to get a 9 a.m. game on Sunday. That's going to be amazing. I'm going to be up bright and early. It's going to be like first day of school vibes where I can't even sleep. Shout out to the Beard for setting me up with the box scores on the ticker here. I didn't get to run those for the show. But just in case you missed some of the stats we talked about, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, and Bellinger were the leaders. And Khalil Herbert, Darnell Mooney were the leaders for the Chicago Bears. Shout out to the Beard, the graphics department. Shout out to the sound department. Shout out to the whole team over here, which is a 2-man team of Awthentik and the Beard, man. Y'all know what it is. So all y'all help as the moderators over here definitely go a long way as well, man. Salute to everybody in the building. We still got over 90 in the building right now, man. Just make me want to go another hour talking about Giants football, but y'all going to have to pump the brakes and wait for that recap tomorrow at 7 p.m., man. I'm just scrolling the chat here one time. Shout out to Diggy one time in the building, man. Ben Dawson says that Tyrod can't fly under concussion protocol. That's true, man. They like the police now, man. I'm sure they had little ways and little tricks that they was beating those questions and whatnot, but now, yeah, it's a real thing. The way we saw Tua late on that turf the other day, it's a serious thing. We can't have players out here just getting killed. And, man, they didn't call helmet-to-helmet on the Tyrod Taylor hit. That was egregious, man. They should have definitely made that call. It was up high, too, which is really interesting. You got a DB up that high going helmet-to-helmet. I thought they should have made the call on it, and they didn't, unfortunately, and Tyrod Taylor had to walk back to the tent. As soon as I saw him walking back to the locker room, I was like, oh, no, here we go again, man. So we'll see, man. We got a banged-up quarterback. We got a concussion on our backup quarterback. The Giants going to have to find a way, man, to make things happen here. If they go into London without one of these two quarterbacks, I'm going to have to chalk that one up as an L, man. Y'all know what it is. MJ said he's trying to hear this for one more hour. Victory week is like that, man. I'm going to catch up. I got to go make a drive back down to my old way down to Silver Spring, Maryland and whatnot, man. And I'm going to tune into a lot of the shows I missed. I'm going to check out Colin Coward. I want to check out what Nick Wright had to say. Nick Wright with them those over-the-top overreactions that he normally has. And then he tried to double back and say that Daniel Jones was going to take care of Cooper Rush in week 3, and that didn't happen. So now you're really looking like a fool. You flip-flopping your takes and whatnot. But I'm going to definitely check them out, see what they talking about over there on First Things First and whatnot. And he's got a new podcast as well. Shout out my homie Manny one time. Give me a call. But, yeah, man, I think, just to round this all up, another gritty win from the New York Giants. It seems like all 3 of the wins on the season were gritty wins for the New York Giants, man. And I'll take them how I can get them, man. We're a team that the past 5 years, and especially my tenure on YouTube covering the New York Giants, man, they've been bad. We ain't been winning games. This is our best record since 2011. I'll take it. I'm fortunate, and I'm a fortunate fan to be able to just get some W's this year during a rebuild process and whatnot, man. And I'm happy about that, man. So I couldn't ask for more. I want to see my quarterback light it up just a little bit, and that hasn't happened so much, but that's cool. It's all good. I think while he gets more accustomed to this offense and to this scheme and the philosophy of what's going on, I think Daniel Jones will, he'll play better football. I will say he is increasing and he's getting better so far. Not by a lot. He's relying on a lot of his given talent. The legs have definitely been a big part to the beginning of the season and the way the New York Giants have found ways to get yards and get productivity out of this offense. But we do got to find a way to pass the ball. We'll see how this next 24 hours goes, man, with Daniel Jones, with the the high ankle injury and whatnot, and see where that takes us, man. But I'm gonna keep my ears peeled, man. It's gonna be a very, very, very anxious next 24 hours for me, man, because I would love to just get good news and hear that Daniel Jones is gonna play on Sunday in London. I think it's very imperative to this team that we get that, man. But we'll see. I think we got to just wait it out and see how things go for the next day. And then we'll react after that. We'll have another giant overreaction when we see what happens with the quarterback position. And on Monday, we'll be back at it. We haven't had a guest for the first 4 weeks. And I think we're going to change that next week. I'm going to bring on a guest next week. I'll let y'all know on Twitter and in the community on YouTube who that's going to be, man. But as always, man, y'all know how it is over here at Awthentik in the Beard. I definitely appreciate all y'all pulling up, man. This was a chill vibe, man. And, it lifted my spirits a little bit, too, just talking about the game, because after the game, just looking at the stats and the box score, you look at that and you just go, damn, like all we got. Saquon is all we got. And that's unfortunate, but digging into it a little bit more, the game plan called for Daniel Jones to not throw the ball. The weather was ugly. 13 throws on the day. I'm not too mad at it, man. I'll take it with a victory. If we lost that game, I'd have been upset. But with a victory, I'm all good. And I think this coaching staff is doing an incredible job, man. They're building what is the future here with the New York Giants, and they're instilling confidence in these players, especially in Saquon Barkley. I love that this coaching staff just goes, hey, we're going to give you the ball 31 times. That's amazing, man. So shout out to y'all, man. I see y'all already beat me to it in the chat, man. Let me see those biceps in the chat one time from the Giants Nation, man. Appreciate all y'all pulling up one day, rocking with your boy, Awthentik. And, yeah, man, I see the Beard drop that Manscaped code one more time for y'all. Y'all know what it is. He says for the win link in bio, 20% off and free shipping. Use the code AATB. Appreciate you doing that for us, the Beard, man. Don't forget to catch us tomorrow, man. We're going to be doing a recap of the NFC East. Dig a little bit more into the numbers, get behind those stats within this Giants game versus the Bears, and also talking about the Commanders. They took their L, and then the Philadelphia Eagles who got that W against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And talk about those Cowboys, man. Got another victory, man. That's unfortunate. I was looking for them Cowboys taking L. But, yeah, man. Great show, man. Appreciate y'all, man. Hour and a half. I said it was going to be an hour. I gave y'all extra half an hour. Shout out to everyone in the chat, man. All the biceps in the building. Hey, Ben, I really appreciate you rocking with us, man, because I literally just met you on Twitter off of one conversation thing, and I said, hey, I was talking about this on the show, and the fact that you actually pulled up to come rock with us, and now you were part of the fan, man, big salute to you, man. I appreciate you pulling up every time you do, man, to these reactions and to our show, The Best Division in Football, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, man. Jermaine, I see Diggy in the building. James in the building one time. No Mets, my day one. We're going to meet one day and have some drinks or something, man, watch a Giants game for sure. Shout out to Willie Bean one time. He says, glad to see Bellinger getting involved this week, too. I was as well. Malone Deck, new face in the building one time. Salute to you, Malone. I definitely appreciate you pulling up in the building, man. All y'all in the chat, man. I couldn't do this without y'all, man. It's a great vibe. Hope you're, feeling good about Victory Monday and going into Victory Week, as I like to call it over here at Awthentik in the Beard, man. It's going to be a whole vibe, man. I'm going to be watching as much content as I can. Make sure y'all pull up on all my homies, The Hub, KB, Pizzle, all them fools, Diggy, Ash, Mac, Adam, anybody making content for the New York Giants, make sure y'all pull up on it, man, and show some love, man, because victory weeks is definitely when it's the time to go check out all that content, man, and enjoy this victory, man. So y'all know what it is over here at Awthentik and the Beard. Keep raising that bar, man. Keep living those dreams, man. I'm going to catch y'all on Tuesday, tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. This was love. Like I said, y'all lifted my spirits, man. Definitely good vibes. Looking forward to seeing what Entertainer does today, man. I want to see some content from my man, Entertainer, man. Entertainer told me on Twitter that the Giants account, the official Giants account, followed him on Twitter, man. So that's a big shout out to my homie, Entertainer, one time, putting in that work, man. Big inspiration for why I'm actually on here doing content with Entertainer and my homie, The Beard, man. Big shout out to the homie, The Beard. Y'all gonna get right over there in Washington. Y'all gonna get right, bro. I promise y'all gonna get right. But yeah, the Beard is a big reason why this channel exists and the reason why you get Giants content from us here and why you got the Giant Overreaction. This was all his idea to start a channel. So big salute to my homie, The Beard. Like I said, I'll catch y'all 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow, man. Same place. Pull up, man. Y'all know what it is. Gonna be a vibe over here at Awthentik and the Beard. And again, keep raising that bar. Use today to get better, y'all. I'm gonna do the same. And I'll catch y'all on the next one, man. Catch y'all Tuesday. Y'all be good. Peace.